Welcome everybody to Bangers in Cash, or Brats and Bets, whatever you want to call it this week. The NFL Pregame live stream brought to you by the Premier League Gambling Podcast. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. And joining me to have a look at the game kicking off in Germany in 26 minutes' time is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Hello, Barry. What's happening?
Morning, Malcolm. Or good afternoon, Malcolm. I don't know where the day has gone, to be honest. But still struggling with illness, as you know, from through the week. But here again to cover another European NFL game. So, yeah, ready for it.
Well, you're right, but we'll be getting some stick in the week because you were complaining you were poorly coming back from your all-inclusive holiday in Egypt. I was getting stick for being poorly, having done 3 days' work. And sitting here now, this isn't a fashion statement, Baz. For people, I'm sitting here in me moo-moo, in me bobble hat, me woolly bobble hat, just to stay alive, Barry. I mean, I'm freezing cold. There's a couple of polar bears under me table here with lemsips. That's how cold it is. I'm not a very well man, Barry. And I think, vicariously, I've got this to you. Was that a giant stein of lager I just saw you supping on?
I've gone full-blown German today, so keeping with a sausage theme. I have a bratwurst in a big crusty roll.
Nice.
And I have a big stein of lager.
That's a massive. What?
And it's German lager as well.
Is that a 2-pinter? Looks bigger than that.
Yeah, that's what a stein is. It's a litre, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
A litre of German ale.
It's bigger than your head, Barry, which, by any stretch of the imagination, is a big unit of something. Champion, some people are in the chat, I think. Captain Sino, Serial's here. I know Brian was kicking around somewhere in the Discord channel asking he's coming in. We're halfway through a Premier League weekend of football. Hanging on, quarter of a point up after 5 games yesterday. And the games have kicked off. So we'll be back tonight. Me and Baz are going to have to find some muck to handicap later on this evening. But last week, Baz, I think we did okay in the Chiefs-Dolphins games. We did miss on Miami, but we hit on the under, which was never really in doubt. And a lot of the player props we gave out were okay too. I went under on the passing attempts. I lost my Mahomes rushing attempts on the kneel downs. The line was 24.5. He got to 26 and then knelt it down back to 24 at the end of it. But that did make me feel like a real boy. I felt like a real SGPN contributor there. In a lot of this game, Barry, like last week we did say you often get a lot of the rubbish teams, and last week you seem to have 2 of the good ones. This week has regressed a little bit. The sort of Indianapolis are mid-pack, I would say. Maybe lower to mid-pack. New England are very much the dregs. They're in the bottom 4 or 5. But we've got Indianapolis -2 here, New England +2. Total of 43. On the money line, it's -130 for Indy, +110 for New England. What were your starting points, Baz, for handicaps, money lines, and totals?
Yeah, so one thing you didn't mention from last week, the highlight for me was the Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Over 16.5 yards. Very first play of the game, 20-yard reception. And that was done and dusted. Very first play. That was brilliant. So hopefully we can get some more joy with the props this week. My first lean is the Colts on the handicap, Malcolm. The Colts have hit 20 or more in every game this season. And I just don't see this Patriots offense keeping up with them if they do that again. Patriots have scored 20 just once all season. So I do see the Colts winning it. And I think they'll go over as well. So the first play for me is definitely the handicap, -2 for the Colts. You're going to go unders, aren't you?
Well, I am, yeah, because I don't know what you've just said. One team can't score. All the other games we've seen in the series are going under. We called the under last week and reasoned it out beautifully. Nothing changes, and you've gone against it. It's baffling, Baz. We never got my sausage contribution, Baz. Yeah. It's sausage flavoured, Barry. I've got pigs in blankets flavour crisps. You know, I'm not saying I didn't prepare, Barry, but what I've got, I mean, it's sausage flavoured, isn't it? I mean, do you have pigs in blankets in America? Is that a thing? They must do, mustn't they? I mean, anything involving processed meat, the USA is the homeland of the processed meat. So one processed meat wrapped up in another processed meat. All they've got to do is drizzle some maple syrup on it, and it's the cornerstone of any American breakfast. So yeah, pigs in blanket flavoured crisps. Yeah, crinkle cut as well, Baz, from Aldi Lidl, whatever the German one is.
The only thing I'm missing is me pretzel. I tried to get a pretzel this morning as well.
Okay.
The full German theme, but the local supermarket sold out of pretzels. Unbelievable.
It'll be everyone making homemade pretzel crust pizzas to try and keep up with Little C's and Sean Green's now legendary ad reads. Yeah, you're right about Indy on the handicap, Baz. It just seemed really obvious. Like, we talk about this a lot on the football. The first thing you have to do is go with your instinct and then look around to see if there's anything that can make you change your mind. So my instinct was Indy. I think minus 130 is a great bet outright. I mean, we spend all baseball season and stuff looking for minus 130 shots. There's one. This one hits you in the eye. But the handicap as well. If you're taking the money line, just take the handicap. New England did 3-13 against the spread in the last 16 games. They're just not even getting close. 29th in points scored, as you said. They don't score any points. 25th in rushing yards, which were a relatively low-scoring game. They need to be able to run the ball. 28th in passing average yards. So they're just nowhere near. And as simple as it sounds, Indianapolis have got better players. They've got better weapons on that side of the ball. Minshew, who can be a little bit nuts, but then Moss, Taylor, Pittman, I think they've just got better players there around, Baz. They're 5th in points scored, like you said. They regularly score 20, 8th in rushing yards. And they've just got enough, I think, to keep New England in this game. So I'm happy to take Indy. And I looked at a bit of a ladder, Baz, because -2, like I say, really doesn't move the needle for me. So I'd started at -5 with Indy, which isn't a big deal. I can see it being a touchdown game. -5 is at +155, all the way up to -12 at 4-1. I can see there's something like a 24-10 game, which would give you 14 points to play with on the handicap. And that'll be up to 5.5 to 1. So I like that a lot. And like I say, I've got no reason to get away from the under, Barry. I'm not sure why you have done it. It's a relatively low total. And you're saying that, or we're all saying that New England can't really contribute many to that total.
And
yeah,
the last 4 Colts games have gone over 50, Mal. So the Colts line is leaning towards it. And as I say, Colts are putting up big enough scores themselves. So you might only need 13, 14 points or so from the Patriots to still get over the line, I think.
I'm laughing at serial referencing Das Boot in the chat. We've got a famous proper English sitcom over here, Serial, which featured a Das Boot slot machine. They had a really old Nazi Das Boot slot machine that paid out in Deutschmarks if you won the jackpot. It was that old. That's just made me laugh. So a complete private joke, pretty much. I'm talking to myself at that point, but it was funny. The New England team total, Baz, is my next play because we've just decided they can't score points. Team total of under 15 points for New England is +120, 5-4. I love a bit of that, Baz. We're going to move across to team props and player props. Have you got any other main stuff, or do you want to keep on moving across?
Well, I'm happy with that. I'll follow on from your Patriots prop there, and I'll jump into a player prop. So I have gone with the Colts, and I am fading the Patriots massively here. So I have gone with Mac Jones under 221.5 passing yards. He's only went over 220 once in the last 7 games. He had 44 pass attempts last week and still only got to 220. So he can have all the volume he wants in terms of passing it all game long, but I still think he'll struggle to get over the 221 mark. So I have went for Mac Jones under 221 passing yards, which sort of follows on from your unders on the scores. And whilst we're on with Mac Jones, it's a little bit juicy, but -150 Mac Jones for an interception. He's got 9 interceptions in 9 games so far this season, and the Colts have already had 9 picks themselves. So I think they had 3 last week as well. 3 interceptions last week against the Panthers. So, it's a little bit short, -150, but Mac Jones to throw an interception at -150 is one I like.
Yeah, I wanted to look at the interception market. That's something that the baseball boys, Scott and Dylan, often point me towards reception props when I ask them on the baseball show for a Thursday night NFL prop. We're going to try and knock up a build a bet in a little while. We'll get the high vis out in the cone. So in the chat, throw some props out. Baz will write them down because he's an expert at that. And we'll make a little build a bet. We weren't a million miles away, I don't think, last time out. So following on a couple of my team props, following on from my Patriots team total under 15, is the Indy, and it's kind of game scripted. They're all kind of related because if you're leaning towards one game script, then there's a lot of bets fall into that game script. And it's going to be the Indy rushing attempts, Barry. So they've averaged 29 rushing attempts per game. That plus the game script, I think, where they're going to be somewhere between 7 and 10 points ahead, just trying to manage the game. So over 26.5 rushing attempts. 2 of their best players, probably, and Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor, are on that side of the ball as well. They can head it out to Pittman. I think, is it Downs, the injured wide receiver for the Colts? So, they're trying to keep the ball on the ground because there's no reason not to. Over 26.5 rushing attempts for the Colts is at -116. Serial, we will ignore that last comment in the chat. FTC. Player props, Baz, where you going?
Yeah, I might as well follow on with that one because it's a Russian prop as well for the Colts. I'm going with Jonathan Taylor, over 66.5 rushing yards. I think it's just working his way back up to a full load. And I think the breakout games won't be far away for Jonathan Taylor. He was held to just 45 yards last week, but did cover this line the previous 2 games since he's returned to injury. And as I say, they are building his load back up to a full load now. So Jonathan Taylor, over 66.5 rushing yards. I think he had 22 carries last week, which will be a big portion of what you need for your pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll get his yards also, 66.5.
Can I question, Barry, why you appear to be saying Colts instead of Colts? I
think I keep changing it. I don't know.
You've said it twice now, and it's disturbing me.
What do you want them to be?
Well, just the Colts. You can't just pronounce words how you want. That's not how language works, I don't think.
Okay. Thank you.
Luckily, he had a mouthful of sausage sandwich, so he was unable to argue with me. So he went with okay. Matthew Hennings has joined. Jonathan Taylor, over 21.5 receiving yards. That's a more acceptable prop, Barry. Write that one down. Yeah. Don't write Serial's muck down. Player props again for me. Actually, this is one for Serial here. It's an old Dallas Cowboy, Barry. Ezekiel Elliott. His longest rush, Barry, under 10.5 yards. Because, according to my notes, he's fat and useless, is what I've written down. Very technical. This is what we're here for. Under 10.5 Zeke Elliott yards. I'd like to know if Serial agrees with that one. I mean, yeah, I just don't know. I think he's down for the line on his rushing attempts is something like 7.5. So he's getting 7 or 8 rushing attempts. I can't see him breaking off an 11-yarder. He's as slow as a week in prison, Baz. I'll continue with the under. And I'm going to stay with a New England Patriot for another one. It's another under, and it's Demario Douglas receiving. He's been quite competitive in spots, but those spots have mainly been at home. So his line is at 46.5, and he has danced around it. He's topped it a couple of times, but generally in the home games. So this is obviously a road game, but it's also a completely different environment. It's not just a couple of hours down the road as well. So Demario Douglas, again, correlated to those Mac Jones woes passing game that you mentioned before, Baz. Under 46.5 receiving yards for Douglas is my next play. Barry?
I'm done with my props.
How are you?
I've got a couple of first touchdown picks, but if you want to put a bet builder, should we go with a bet builder first?
Go for a bet builder then, Baz. What we got? We've got one sensible suggestion, which is Jonathan Taylor over 21.5 receiving yards.
We'll
have to leave the total out, Baz, because you want over and I want under, so we'll leave that one.
So we'll stick to Colts money line.
Colts money line seems sensible. That seems prudent.
I have we've got 19.5 receiving yards we need for Jonathan Taylor. That's the line on our book, yeah. So
okay, so we're getting
a couple of yards,
2 extra. Yeah. You want to move over here, Matthew? You get 2 yards on that prop if you relocate.
And if nobody else comes up with anything, well, we're going to have to chuck a couple in ourselves. Do you want the Zeke touchdown in?
I don't know if even Serial's being serious at this point.
Neither do I. Come on, then. Pick your best prop, Mal, and I'll put my
best.
I'm going to go Mac Jones under passing yards.
Can you get my rushing attempts in, Baz?
Give me a sec. I'm under 2-2-3. That line's moved as well. It was 2-2-1 this morning.
Yeah, it's all going on.
Rushing attempts. Let's have a look. Rushing props attempts. Who are we going for?
Indy over 26.5.
No, you can't have that.
What? That's disappointing.
You can have Jonathan Taylor over 15.5.
Yeah, that might do it. Yeah,
that seems all right. Those 4 come in at 4-1, Malcolm. So we've got.
Yeah. We need to boost that up, Baz. 4-1's not enough.
Oh, hold on. No, we're missing one of the props has dropped off. What was the first one? That was the receiving prop, wasn't
it?
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor. There we go.
Right. Shout this out, Baz, so I can get it on before we start.
4-1. And quarterback props. Mac Jones under. Right. Here we go. Add the bet slip. We've got Colts to win. Taylor over 19.5 receiving yards. Taylor over 15.5 rushing attempts. And Mac Jones under 223 passing yards. 15-2 plus 750, Malcolm. That's all right, isn't it?
Mac Jones under on the passing yards. Yeah. Okay. 7.5 to 1. Yeah, I love that, Baz. Move across to. I've got 2 more bets here, Baz. One is a first touchdown bet. We like a first touchdown bet. I pretty much have the same kind of system every week, Baz, which is sort of your first or second choice tight end, really. It's Indianapolis and it's Kylan Granson, Barry. We like a tight end, but we've been seeing enough targets. Only had 2 last week, but every week before that, it's 3, 4, 5. So you see some work. 20-1 seems like a good price for a bit of a pot shot in the red zone for Kylan Granson. He's my only play here in the touchdown market, Barry.
I've got 2 here because I like Mac Jones to throw an interception. I've gone with the Colts defense for the first touchdown, 45-1 for the Colts defense as a touchdown scorer. And the other one on the other side of it, I wanted to go the other way. I went with Hunter Henry, 14-1 for Hunter Henry to get the first touchdown. I think he's got 3 already this season. Might be the highest scorer in the team. But yeah, Hunter Henry at 14-1 and the Colts defense, or the Colts defense, whatever you want to call them.
It's not whatever you want to call them, though. That's the problem, Barry.
There we go, 45-1.
Like, luckily, Baz, for those diehards who've stayed in this right at the end, I've got a 16-1 winner, Barry, which I'm about to throw out. And we can scrap the rest of the show because it's all just fluff compared to this. Indianapolis to win every quarter, 16-1, Barry. We go 6-0 after the first couple of field goals. They'll then maybe win the second quarter 7-3. Third quarter 3-0. Last quarter 7-3. I mean, there you go, 14-17, 23-6, 23-6 full time. Indy win every quarter at 16-1. But having that,
I'll have that. I don't mind that. Have you got anything for tonight's games, the later games, Malcolm?
Oh, yeah, because I gave one last week, Barry. I gave out Washington on the money line at plus 130, and sure enough, they came in. Having a little look around here, it's quite tricky, isn't it? There's the 49ers and the Jags game is interesting. There's a lot of have you got one?
I've got 2.
You've got two. You think you throw yours out then, Baz, while I'll just try and firm up my selection here.
I'm going to go against the Steelers. I'm going to go the Steelers to cover against the Packers. I think Steelers -3 against the Packers is a pick I like. And the other one was Seattle to cover the handicap against Washington. So I like the Seahawks -6 against Washington. So yeah, there's the Steelers and the Seahawks for me on the handicap, both to cover the spread.
There's one total that I like, Baz, which is the Lions and the Chargers, 48.5. I'll take the over on that one. That Packers Steelers game, I've gone backwards and forwards on, and everything I've listened to this week, literally 50% of the people are convinced the Steelers are nailed on, and the other 50% of the people are convinced the Packers are nailed on. I think the Ravens have to be in consideration here at -6.5 against the Browns, Barry. So that would be my other play. I've got no real dog players, unfortunately, because I liked my dog last week. Yeah, so Lions and Chargers to go over, complete with the Ravens to duff up the Browns. It's worth saying, Baz, we need Michael Pittman to do things in this first game as well for a good start in our Guillotine League.
I was going to say, I've not checked out the lineup. Have we gone with Minshew or Stroud?
Jared Goff.
No. Should have went with Stroud. I don't like
We'll discuss this off air. I don't want to picture Captain Insano crying into his cornflakes live as we discuss our Guillotine League. Plus, this game starts in 3 minutes. So we'll get going, Baz. I'm going to return to the sofa right over here for the next 14 hours, if you want me. We're recording in 8 hours for the Premier League show, where we'll be taking on such football and luminaries as Cray Valley Paper Mills in the FA Cup on Wednesday night. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Enjoy your Sunday. Win 55 bets. And me and Baz will be back tonight. But until then, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.